The views expressed in this presentation are expressly those of the presenter and do not reflect the official policy or position of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, the United States Air Force, Department of Defense, or United States government.
Going into USAF news. So first, as promised, Air Force fires commander of Holloman Air Force Base's maintenance group. An Air Force commander in charge of the maintenance group at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico has been fired, the service said. Colonel Danzen Albertson, the commander of the 49th Maintenance Group, was relieved of duty Monday due to a loss of confidence in his inability to lead. A statement from the service reads, "This was a difficult decision to make, but one that is ultimately in the best interest of the unit," said Colonel Justin Spears, 49th Wing Commander. Lieutenant Colonel Kristen Torma, the deputy commander of the 49th Maintenance Group, will assume the command of the unit effective immediately. No other information regarding why Albertson was relieved of duty was provided. And under federal privacy law, as you guys may know, military officials are not required to disclose the reasons for removing or reassigning personnel. Military officials often cite loss of confidence when commanders are removed from posts without providing any specifics leading to that decision. So my question to you all, we'll start with Wade as a cadet wing commander. What trends have you seen as a cadet wing supervisor that will constitute a removal of command due to a loss in confidence and the inability to lead? Have you seen that exhibited through other people? Did you take action, or did you see somebody take action? What advice would you give to future leaders in that regard?
Yeah, I think any job that constitutes a removal is, I think the way that they push it out, they don't give you the details like you talked about. They say loss of confidence in command or leadership. And I think it ties back to the airman leadership qualities that the U.S. Air Force desires. So the executing the mission, leading people, managing resources, and improving the unit. I think it has to be one of those, or obviously bigger cases of actual crimes, sexual assault, domestic abuse, any of those things, fraud. I think anything in those categories that you just ultimately fail at are what constitutes as removal from your position. So if you cannot execute the mission or just basically do your job.
Justin, I'm going to ask you, as an NCO, been in the game for a long time, almost 2 decades. Have you seen anything from CGOs or FGOs that would institute, from your perspective, a loss of confidence in the ability to lead from your fellow superior officers? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. And I think there's something deeper. It has to be really big, because this is a big one. You don't see commanders getting fired every day. So I think it had something to do with the P.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't ask some of the guys on the ground. Maybe there's some rumors going around. But this is a big one. This ain't, hey, I messed something up. Yeah, this is I failed to do something. I think this has to be continuous failure and continuous problem within the squadron that, the wing commander was like, enough is enough.
Yeah, that's be a tough call. It could be anything from toxic or environments, or it could be just information management. It could be anything, right? But I was trying to see, I want to kind of dig in, and dive into, some of the things that these people are probably getting fired for is probably some trends they probably had via their commissioning source. It was probably there. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Because, information management, everything, let me go ahead and tell you what Chief McKean said. I'm always going to come back to that. Everything that you need to learn, you learn in kindergarten. In this case, your commissioning source. In this case, basic training. That's why it's called basic training. Everything that you need to know to survive in the military, you learn in kindergarten. So, for example, ROTC. If you're a bad information manager and you don't know how to manage information, you probably know it. Somebody's probably told you in those 4 or 5 years in ROTC, right? Somebody has probably told you that in OTS. Somebody has probably told you that in basic training. So whether you corrected it or improved it or not, that will show when you actually sit in the seat of leadership positions, because the leadership will take form based on your persona and how you handle things. If you're a really good information manager and that's what you are harping down on, I promise you, your people should adapt to that and say, this person's a no nonsense kind of person. We got to make sure the information we send up is accurate. If you don't, then you're going to probably have lapses in that. So what I'm trying to get at is when you guys, take command and things like that, like pay attention to what's going on. Let them know what your intent is. Do not be toxic. Be nice, right? Be nice and don't be a jerk. and listen to your people. Yeah. That's why I have a senior NCO online for you guys. Right? You know what I mean? Because
listen to your people.
Those are the people who are going to tell you, don't do this. You'll go to jail. Right?
Yes.
And that's what most officers will tell you. Or most officers will tell you, well, dude, whatever, just keep me out of jail. And most NCOs understand that statement.
I think ROTC,
that's my job every day is keep Commander out of jail. keep my boss out of jail. That's my job.
And ROTC, we have the luxury of usually your actions don't result in you going to jail, but it affects the people. I think the one that we see in ROTC the most is inappropriate behavior, whether it be how you talk to people, the actions you take. And I think the lesson you can take away from this as a young cadet is, as you continue to take on more responsibility along with your peers, continue to learn how to correct them and get comfortable with calling the BS out. Because it's when we fail to do those things and we let, bad actors pick up those habits that then they become second lieutenants, and then they promote all the way up to colonel. And then those, behaviors and actions carry on and they never got washed out. So now they're paying for it in the most critical and painful way.
Yep. And that's the thing. I've seen it in this cadet wing through my time out here, failure to take action. Like, you clearly see that this is a breach of standards. This is wrong. Well, I don't want to hurt their career. You're going to hurt it in the long run when they get fired, when they're a full bird colonel, because you didn't fix it back when they were, a young cadet, wing cadet, right? It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. So everything I needed to know, I learned in kindergarten. You learned it, but you didn't, it was not impactful, but it actually is. So that's what I'm trying to say. I've seen that far too much. And that's probably what you've been feeling within the cadet wing these days, is because failure to take action and to do those things due to loss in confidence and ability to lead is tolerated, and it should not be tolerated. So that's what we're trying to teach you guys. We're not hurting you. You're in ROTC. You will recover. You will live. You might lose a friend or two. Who cares? But what I'm trying to teach you, you're going to carry on to your career. You'll always remember that lesson, right? So good call. Okay.
Yeah, it's like how you're always telling us this is the place to fail and make those mistakes and learn those lessons. Well, you still can. And I mean, not necessarily get away with it, but like have less heavy repercussions for it. I mean, depending on whatever action you make, of course.
Right.
But still, it's like, it's the place to see what works and what doesn't, and to better learn how to adjust to the people around you. I mean, because with how often we change flights, we change squadrons, we change leadership, we change all that, but it's to prepare us for the people we'll be working with in the big blue.
Mm-hmm. It happens all the time. So you can't be afraid to try something out. So good call, good perspective. All right. Next topic. The Department of the Air Force has finally approved cold weather pay for troops at 7 bases. As of 1 April, airmen and guardians stationed at U.S. bases where the temperatures sometimes drop 20 degrees below zero will earn the new lump sum payment if they agree to serve at least a year-long tour. Locations that qualify for incentive include North Dakota's Cavalier Space Force Base Station, Minot, Grand Forks Air Force Bases, Alaska's Clear Space Force Station, Eielson Air Force Base, Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, and Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. Airmen and guardians living in extremely cold conditions faced a unique out-of-pocket cost. Alex Wagner, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Manpower and Reservist Affairs, said in a statement to military.com. In addition to the assignment and retention benefits of the pay, it also comes down to making sure we do our best to take care of our service members and the families stationed in these critical installations. So with that being said, y'all, you get stationed out there. Congratulations, you have been stationed blank. You get some incentive pay. That's cool. Now, my question to you all, anybody could use it as a free flowing question. Would that motivate you to move to these locations?
I mean, I like the cold, so I'd be up for it.
Yeah, that's money.
Okay, so Ulrich, you say you'd be good for that. You're good. Ironically, you're here in Vegas, but you like the cold. So, I mean, what are we doing? What are we missing? What are we missing here?
I mean, I moved out here because my parents want to be out here. I've been out here over 10 years, so I'm just following along with them. And as soon as I graduate, I'm getting the heck out of Dodge unless I come back to Nellis.
Okay, cool.
I can't stand the dry heat, man. It drives me nuts. I feel like I'm being baked alive during the summer, and you can always put on more layers than you can take off. I will stand and die on that hill.
Okay, gotcha. So you'd be down for any of these bases. You'd be cool with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So I guarantee you, if you put any of those bases on your dream sheet, you're going.
Yeah.
They don't ask questions. So if that's where you want to go, you want to go to Minot, put it at the top of your list. It'll be no problem.
Hey, if it coordinates with my one at AFSC, I'm down. I'm going.
Okay, cool. Keep that in mind. And you get a little incentive pay. Justin, you say, yeah, you do it?
Oh, yeah, that's money. Because I know nobody's putting them bases down to go over there.
Yeah, they were pretty significant. It was like,
I don't know anybody who said they wanted to go out there.
Yeah, it was like
I can see maybe Alaska if you hunt.
It was like $2,000 for some of these bases, like $2,000 extra a month.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's not like you go buy a $2,000 coat. This is my fur meat.
That's number one on the list.
This is my fur meat coat, $2,000. Looking like Don King. Paid, all expense paid by the government. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna go get me a bear skin.
I bet they've been complaining for years about that base.
Yeah, this is 100% made from soft meats from meerkat. You know what I'm saying? My boss is only wear the finest coats because of government expense.
I bought my Ferrari jacket with this cold incentive pay.
Jesus.
Wade, what you think, man? What you got, Wade?
I think it's 100% warranted because I also think any way that we could get more benefits and more pay to our service members is a plus. Like, why would we not want that? First of all, second, I would probably, go to a base there if I could get flight pay and cold weather pay at the same time. Come on now. Ooh. But it does tie into a lot more than clothing. I think, like even energy costs. It costs more to heat your house. It costs more. It takes more, thinking about thermodynamically, it takes more energy to boil water out there. So it does factor into your total life costs.
Yeah. Count on the engineer to bring up the thermodynamics, man. That's all you do, man.
Of course.
Wade's an engineer if you don't know. Yeah, exactly. So you already know. It's like, cool, I know what I'm doing here. I took thermodynamics at UNLV.
Oh, I would be so efficient. Insulate. I spent all my money on insulation just one time, so that I can save that $2,000 every single month.
That's what's up, man. Use that on degree.
That would be my car fund. It wouldn't even be cold weather.
That's what's okay. Cool. Yeah, personally, no, I probably would not. I'm cool with being in the desert. I'm fine with it. So, with that being said, in my family too, right? But if it was Chicago or something like that, that's the thing. That's my thing, right? It's not just. It's the remote part. That's the part. It's hard to find the things that I'm looking for. I'm just being real with you. It is hard to find wave cream on the last little bit of hair I got. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult. All right. If I needed some religious, it's just not there. Right. Colonel Sauls, who used to be the group commander at the 90th missile wing, I was doing alert with him, and he was talking. He's a white American. He was talking to me. He was like, "Man, like we lose a lot of black people in missiles because of the bases, right? And it's not because the people or anything. It's because like what they need for resources is just not here, and it's not anyone's fault. It's not anyone's fault, right? There's nothing the military can do about it, right? They can throw cash at the product, and hopefully it fixes it, and you can get things imported from Amazon Prime." Maybe, right? But he's like, it's a hard
overnight shipping on all that.
He's like, it's hard. And I was like, I understand that. I'm not mad at that at all. But just me and my family, it'd be difficult for them. I swear, if I got orders to Minot, you singing straight up would be like,
oh yeah.
So when you
table flip.
See, when you
I'll get a winner for you.
I'm gonna stay here. I guarantee it. She did Ep.4 Warren, and she was like, I'm cool with that just because, it had Fort Collins and had, all the other streamlined cities down there. She was like, I'm cool with that. But I got mine, she was like, it'd be rough on her. So but that's just personal, right? That's a personal thing. That's $2,000 more. So it was like, we'll send it down, right? Send it down over here. So, okay, cool. That's the next one. My question to you guys would same on the pivot of same topic. Given we live here in Vegas, do you guys think the USAF would entertain pay for hot weather locations?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that would definitely have to be base specific as well for bases like Nellis, maybe Creech, and then probably a couple bases down Arizona, in like Texas or in the South, just in general, because that humid heat. That's brutal, man. Even with the dry heat out here, you can get third degree. I mean, not third degree sunburns, but like real bad sunburns. And if you're out in the sun long enough, depending on what job you have, it could pose as a potential risk for like skin cancer. You never know. So I suppose it wouldn't necessarily be as much because of like the infrastructure we have out here to manage said risks with all the AC, the structures and all that, and with like implemented additional like what are those things called, the misters where they have the fans spraying the water and all that to keep you cool at all times, the added ability for necessary hydration. Even out here when we're doing our training during L lab and all that, it's always like hydrate at will, and if you feel like you're going to pass out, stand up and say something. So I feel like the incentive wouldn't necessarily be as much, and with Nellis being as big of a base as it is with the Nevada testing and training range, I feel like that's a case by case basis depending on who you're talking to.
Tell my house that I still got to keep it cool. So yeah, I could argue using Wade's thermodynamics. It takes a lot of energy to keep something warm. Well, shoot, in the summer it takes probably just as much, if not more, to keep it cool. But I don't know. I'm not a thermodynamics person. That's Wade. But it can get a little crazy. Yeah.
So
it can get a little crazy out there.
I think no. And I think it would be a hard no.
Hey.
Because federal OSHA itself doesn't have any standards for workers' protection and key regulation at all at the federal or state level. Why do I know this? Because it's in my engineering safety class. And Air Force has each branch has its own OSHA software, and they're late to adopt any regulations, just like everything else. So if Fed OSHA doesn't even have heat regulation at all, then Air Force is not going to have them. Therefore, they're not going to be incentivized or forced at all to create any of these heat exposure pays, because they still can't even decide, like, is it better in the hot if you take off your clothes and, you just like to have on the flight line, maintainers can wear shorts and these kind of things. Right. Or is it more beneficial that we make these workers put on more clothes, like long sleeves and UV resistant stuff? They still haven't finalized studies on this, and they still can't make a decision. So I don't think heat pay would have come in a very long time.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. That makes sense. That's a good argument. Okay, cool. So stand by, Justin, on the heat pay. Hey, you remember your Creech incentive pay? You remember that? You remember we had some of that?
Oh, yeah. Creech has no...
For the freaking drive?
Okay.
Just drove up there yesterday.
It's already 120, and we drive at 50 miles just so it be hot. It's hot in the hangar. Oh, no, we need that extra pay.
Was that a real thing?
We ain't gonna get it. We had it. They took it away.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. We're fighting for it again right now.
I asked for Creech, and they were like, you go to Nellis. You've been to Creech too many times. You going to Nellis.
There should be insurance for driving down that road. That road is dangerous.
Yeah, they're not thinking about that. They're like, no.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Last article, guys. Okay, so this is live from the Air University Barnes Center. It's a reminder, PT and uniform noncompliance can result in removal from professional military education. So airmen attending enlisted professional military education courses could be sent back to their units for failing to meet standards starting May 1st, according to the Barnes Center for Enlisted Education Operational Order. All students must satisfactorily meet Air Force physical fitness assessment, dress and appearance standards, and non-compliant students will be released without prejudice back to their duty stations. The order published and distributed to airmen was done on 26 January 2024, and it outlines the uniform physical training expectations for students attending EPME. Commandants can make exceptions or modifications due to specific mission concerns or unforeseen circumstances on a case-by-case basis. Permanent and semi-permanent physical or religious profiles will be honored. Students who attend EPME are expected to meet and adhere to specific physical training readiness standards and uniform dress and appearance standards, says Colonel Damian Schulzel. These standards will be validated within the first 5 academic days. Despite the prerequisites of EPME attendance, a current passing PT test and command endorsement, we still have too many airmen failing mock PFAs and do not meet dress and appearance standards. It's all about Air Force readiness. So even though people are signing off that, yep, these people are, good to go, they meet in PT, standards, and they fit in their uniforms, then they arrive at PME and they don't. So that's what the That's what they're trying to get at. So the question for you all is, do you all think this sounds familiar in Air Force ROTC? Wade and Ulrich, have you guys seen this in ROTC and did something that looks familiar? And do you think it's a fair and correct direction?
I might pass this one to you first, Wade, because I got to think about this one for a minute.
Okay. In the AFROTC and the architecture, we do see it. So obviously, if you're a cadet in our program, you know the policy. If you don't pass your PSA, you don't get to wear your PTGs. And if you do wear the OCP, then you would not be allowed to wear that on a normal day that we would. You would have to wear your business casual, the red polo. And that's uniform, standard, horizontal across all classes. So freshman through senior, you know, everybody's held to the same standard. And I think it's good to introduce early as a cadet so you can understand. And, you know, if you slip and don't meet those standards for a bit, you understand what it feels like and where it's coming from. So that when, you know, you get out there and you get your LT pay and you can afford Red Lobster every Friday, you probably don't have Red Lobster every Friday with the buttery biscuits. But the initiative behind it, I think, is also controversial. But I guess they made a decision on it because that's some topics that a lot of members talk about. Like, oh, should we enforce and address these things? Like, talk about them because from what I've heard, there's a lot of people active duty that push back if they do, you know, get removed from the PME or opportunities for TDYs or anything. They push back on discrimination because of that standard. I don't know if you'd have anything to add on that, but that's kind of a question I had is, you think that people that are being held to these standards are going to push back again, you know, go to IG and all that, or what's the deal?
So that is always a push and pull. The reason why, because you have different body types and things of that nature, like whose standards are these according to what? Americans are bigger these days. Like, so it's going to push a controversy. We've changed. During COVID, we changed a lot of, PT standards, BMI, BFAs. And again, a lot of us don't we understand where those arguments are coming from, but until it changes, we have to adhere to it. We have to pay attention and we have to follow it. And we have to do all the things. So, but at least I know for sure, Justin and I have been out in the game long enough. We have seen people who completely grossly misrepresent this regulation, right? You somehow, yes. you have, a passing PFA, but then when you get in the uniform, it don't look right. Like something's not right.
Button screaming.
Yeah. Screaming, right? Something's not right. So I think the primary target is those personnel, not the ones who are like debatable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's that.
The look test.
Yeah, exactly. Was your test pencil width? Because something ain't right. You know what I mean? So something's not right. So I think that's what they're trying to get at. And they'll just kick them back to the unit and say, you said, and that would embarrass commanders. That embarrasses commanders.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
If you send a person back, oh heck yeah. That's your job when you go out there to TDY is to do your job and not embarrass me as a commander. Like that is your job. So represent and don't embarrass me. So for an NCO or an airman or senior NCO to be kicked back to their unit because they could not, do PMI, PFA or meet BMI, BFA or whatever. We don't do BMI, BFA and active duty, but you get what I'm saying. Like the appearance portion of it, if you don't fit that and you get sent back home to your commander, that commander's reputation is up too because you're the commander's the one who sent them, right? It gets blown back in their faces. And it's just like, okay, dude, like, or do that. Like, what is going on? Even though it's without prejudice, it still sends a signal. So, and again, we bring that up because in active duty, you will see that. You're like, wait a minute, like it's there. It's there. So they're attacking it. So to my opinion, it's just. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah.
Do you think it's just? You think we're going in the right direction?
And why?
I think we are, because there is standards and we have to hold, personnel to that standard. And like you said, you're representing the Air Force, you're representing your unit, and to be looking like that and doing that, it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know if you were there when we were at HEA and we had guests in, those flyers came through, a bunch of flyers, and you had one individual in there. I'm not going to call out too much. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay,
I was
that's
thinking
what
the
I'm
same
saying,
thing,
right?
yeah.
And yep, that's what we're talking about. And You damn right cadre went behind the scenes and was like, what in the world was that? Like, did
Really?
anybody in that group kind of get into the huddle and say, we are active duty. We have a obligation to represent properly, what this image is. You can't roll with us. Like, you cannot roll with us. Like, not for this event. You cannot roll with us because these cadets have to meet BMI, BFA, and they have to work hard and they have to break through so many ceilings to get to where they can wear the uniform. And then that's what we see. Now, I don't know the story. And I don't know if this individual has some issues or whatever the case may be. I'm just saying, does that person have to represent? Did you have to put them in front of 150 cadets and say, I think we could have made a better choice. That's what I'm saying. Saying. So damn right, cadre went behind the scenes and was like, what the hell was that, man? That's not fair. That's not fair. So
that's the one thing that I preach is like the first thing is your physical image that somebody sees about you. And if any of our listeners rewind, Lieutenant Alexander London is the pinnacle of physical excellence. I mean, he walks into a room, this guy's a freaking meathead. He's smart. He's not dumb, but like he could tell me the craziest thing in the world and I would listen to him because of, his appearance. That's what I think is important.
Yeah, with all the context and all of that makes a lot more sense because I thought it was based on something else. But with the basis you guys are talking about, I can agree. There are some things that should be talked about, and I may not know who specifically you guys are talking about because that could be before my time in ROTC.
You would know. You would have known.
With certain things that I have seen even before going into ROTC or even while in and just kind of going out in the open world and all that, it's like, it feels so baffling how with that appearance that I try as hard as I can for PT and all that, and I've slimmed down and lost a lot of weight and all that to meet these standards. I mean, I literally lost like 50 pounds in my junior year of high school.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's like, I work so hard to look like this to project that image. And then somebody who looks like I did those few years ago got in the same position I'm in. I guess it almost feels, I wouldn't say unfair, but confusing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that a lot when you
I get what you
actually walk the blog.
Yeah, exactly. So what you're saying is, Ulrich, if I can do it, you can do it too. Like,
right.
Yeah, of course.
It's not humanly impossible to meet those standards.
Of course. And you'll see a lot of that out there. You're like, okay, I got it. Right. So just keep that in mind.
Dude, comparison is the thief of joy. So even you're comparing to somebody who may not be as good as you, and then looking at how much work you may have put in, don't make you think that's, I don't have to put in work if that can fly.
Right.
Set standards that are higher for yourself that anybody could ever set for you.
Yeah, you got to be the bigger person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Good stuff, you guys. So I personally do think it's a step in the right direction. Like, adherence to standards makes sense. Now, do we need to maybe review, what those standards are? Maybe, right? Because times change. Sure. We can do that more often, but that's a strategic thing and it takes longer to do. But adherence to standards, you're here to increase your professional military education. There is a baseline that you have to meet, and it's not too difficult to meet it. So let's just kick it into gear, because some people in the active duty did complain. Sorry, right? Kick it into gear, get in compliance, have the image, and move forward. That's it. So I agree with you guys on that one. Okay, Wade, this one's particularly for you. Air Force ROTC enrollment allocations dropped. As we all know, I believe it was, you guys fact check me on this, but I believe it was 83% in the Southwest region selection rate, which means 83% of the people that went up got selected, and they will be getting officer slots, or at least they're going to be contracted to get officer slots, given that they complete the program properly. And here at Air Force ROTC Ep.4 UNLV Rebel Nation, we got 100% selection rate. So all the cadets that we sent up were selected. That would be thanks to how the milestones the cadre have sent to the cadet wing, and the cadet wing's execution of those standards, so that everybody that we sent up was competitive and they all got selected, which means what the cadre has set for you guys works. And that's why we set the standards the way we adhere to standards. So that's why we set it up.
And we got to be
pretty
better
cool.
than Texas A&M.
Every time. I guarantee you they not 100%. So what I'm saying is, good job. But I know Cadet Wade has some knowledge here, about EA culture in any debt. So I'm going to ask you right now, Wade, what tips and suggestions do you have for those awarded an EA as they prepare for field training and entry into the POC based on your experience?
Okay. The field training part is, we don't have to go into that. You've been preparing for field training for how long? Like, it's pretty straightforward on what you have to do. You show up, and if something is unexpected, then you make a decision and do it.
Yeah.
But it's more of along the lines of like integrating within the wing, coming back, or finishing out the rest of your semester. So when my class was FTP cadets 2021, I think. Oh boy. I remember, when you get you're going up for EAs and the PSP board comes out, like you're writing on this lull, and it's not just performance and all that. Like, you start to be integrated to the POC a little bit more. And usually we do like a wing takeover, and we'll let the FTP cadets like execute some of the training and stuff instead of being subjected to the training.
Like,
and then you kind of get to
FTP empowerment.
Yeah, FTP empowerment. And you kind of get to get a peek hole into, what goes on the other side of the river. And, you start to get like, you kind of start to see what happens behind the shows of the circus. And it's a mess. Like, I think this is for like any AFROTC detachment is, the circus is nice. They put on a good show, but once you join the crew and you're part of the act, you see what goes on behind the scenes, and you realize it's not as pretty. And then you start to pick off like, oh, why do they do it this way? What? This is stupid. They aren't doing that. You aren't doing your jobs right. And we do that on purpose so that, as you become closer to transferring over to the POC in your second half of your ROTC career, you can see and identify what is wrong so that when you transfer over, you have some fresh ideas to bring to the table when you do, sit at the table, because those fresh ideas are essential at any level in a military organization, I believe. So finish your semester strong. When I was a cadet, I would show a lot of, like resentment, and like, a lot of people in our class were like, oh, we have EAs now. Well, nothing's going to stop us. Why do we got to listen to you? But, rise through your principles, be a good person, have respect for everybody, make the IMT better around you before you're an actual POC, and build up your credibility. Because if you don't have that credibility when you transfer over, nobody's going to listen to you, and nobody's going to do anything when you're in charge. But I mean, that's pretty much it. We had a very good selection, and let's hope that it rides true. I think that the changes that the institution of AFROTC itself has been trying to push are very good. And, I would be an old cat, as they would say it, the super senior 5-year. And a lot of like the new ODTs and things that they're doing to field training, I think are really good. And they're opportunities that I never had. And it's never something that I would sit around and say, oh, well, when I went to Camp Shelby in Mississippi, we had to do this and this sucks. And you guys have soft hands because you're not doing it. Like, I will never sit back and be one of those people on Reddit. I think that I'm grateful and proud that the people that are coming out behind me are going to actually have something to tangibly learn how to be an officer. Because this is me personally, not the words of the United States Air Force or AFROTC itself, but I do not think that when we create an officer, a second lieutenant, that they're ready and capable for the future challenges that we have. Not the previous challenges, but the future ones, to where we can send him out and go work in a unit with Master Sergeant over here. And he would be comfortable, working with them in a higher speed environment. I don't think that we do a good job with that at all. I really think we missed our big time at our second half POC development, which is something that they're addressing. Like Colonel, they said at the NatCon or whatever, we prepare for you to go to field training for 2 years, and then the next 2 years, you prepare other people to go to field training. And it's like this big, endless, annoying cycle. And it's so annoying and pointless because you're going to lead lab every Friday and you're like doing the same thing except on the other end of the chessboard. And it's like, come on, dude, I want to be learning about something good so that when I go hang out with Master Sergeant over here, I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. And you don't got to roast me every week, and he doesn't have to hold my hand and like help me make decisions for me. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Master Sergeant, about the LTs that come out and what the product of AFROTC looks like after the EAs? I'm curious.
I think you're just being a little hard on yourself.
Okay.
a lot of the new lieutenants coming out of ROTC, they're fine. A lot of them have good head on the shoulders. And then, you know what, as long as they come in with the right state of mind, again, you're not going to know it. Being open and listen, most of these guys will be all right. And plus, you get your senior NCOs to back you up and guide you.
As long as they listen, man. As long as they listen.
Yes, and that's as long as they listen. I think, and egos are out the door. They'll be perfectly fine.
Cool.
I agree. You do.
I get it, Wade. Like there's a lot of room for improvement on how to apply that, but a lot of it is just attitude. Like we cannot show you this, that, and the other. Like that's something that you got to learn over there. But I can at least show you the basics: how to communicate properly, how to address certain people, right? How to communicate effectively, right? How to be present when you're needed to be present. How to go talk to your people. How to what I mean? That footprint, and most senior NCOs can take that and mold it into something the Air Force can use. Like if you give me that, I can give you a pilot. If you give me this, I can give you a cyber officer. I can give you those, right? That's my job. But if they got attitude, they don't want to listen. They're not even present. They don't know how to communicate. They're just awkward, right? They talk down to people, right? That's when your senior NCOs will be like, "What debt did you come from? Like what was your commissioning source? Like how did you get past it, right?" Because somebody should have caught that. It's just people skills. So I know that like effectivity, like us doing the mission as cadets and like we're integrating, like, dude, that's the perfect world, perfect USAF. We can't do that. But we can give you we can screen for character. And if you can do a left face and right face and you can do these things and you have good character, right? And we can trust you, then we're going to give you to the senior NCOs who are going to start that molding process and you'll get to where you need to get to. It's just not immediate. It takes a while. So my suggestion to all those who got an EA is don't let your foot off the gas. This is where the gravity turns up, because like Wade alluded to, people get EAs. We don't got to listen. Why are we listening to you? Why are we doing this? Because your trial isn't over yet. Your interview is far from over, right? It's just a certain milestone. I don't know how Colonel Young has removed some people, right? You know what I mean? In the U contract, they thought they was good to go. He was like, He was like, nope, I'm not giving you to any senior master sergeant. I'm not giving you to any FGO. You're out the door because of your inability to do X, Y, and Z. So do not let your foot off the gas. For the POC, don't let your foot off the gas. Turn up the gravity within purpose, right? As long as you always have purpose and the reason why you're doing it makes sense to be effective communicators, and make sure that they're, one, effective communicators, and two, they adhere to your standards, right? To the standard. Those are the two things we're looking for. We can do the rest, right? But if they cannot do those two things, then that needs to be relayed to us so we can avoid sending fake chaff into the blue, right? We don't want to do that. So that's my advice. Turn up the gravity. Everyone, turn up the gravity. Turn up the standards. Turn them up, because I want you all to perform well at field training, right? That's why Colonel Young turned up his adherence to standards, right? He did that on purpose, and you can see the result. He was public enemy number one. Cadre was public enemy number one when we did that. But now you see the results. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't. There you go, right? So I'll leave that with you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick, with all that and the senior NSOs being like the molding process and ROTC, just screening for that character. To me, it's all like the process of forging a sword. For ROTC, it's kind of like you're in the process of gathering the materials, throwing it in the furnace, heating it up and all that, see how it handles under the pressure. And then when it comes to passing them on to the senior NCOs after they get their butter bars, blah, 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 that's when the hammer comes down, the whole molding process comes into play. And then that's when the blade really starts to come out.
Okay, I like it. Yep. I kind of disagree though. I think it happens a little bit earlier than you think. You really start to learn some serious lessons about yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When we throw the milestones on you in kindergarten, right? We throw some hard milestones at you. Ulrich, you went through some hard milestones.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly. We know, right? You've been through and you have been sharpened. Like you've got some impurities removed from your forging process already, and it's already starting to show. So you got to appreciate that part of it. Everything, when you get out of ROTC, everything you learned in kindergarten. You know everything. I need you all to know that. You know everything there is to know to make a decision. If we bless you to commission, you know everything it is to know to make a decision. That's what you need to do. Your job is to make decisions and consult senior advisors or senior commanders so they can make informed decisions. That is our job. Okay. We seek advice. We give the information. We're humble, credible, and approachable. That's like the weapons school's like motto. And we should all adopt that too. Mm-hmm. We need to be that. Okay. Whether it's A1C Snuffy or General Snuffy, we can give them the information so they can make informed decisions. We're in the middle. Okay. Cool. All right. Shifting, right? This will be fun, you guys. I can't wait for you guys' response to this.
It's because the
shifting into pop culture. Yeah. Here we go. So I kind of told you guys this before. New York inmates who claimed lockdown was a religious violation will be able to see eclipse. So you guys probably wonder where the heck the integration is with this. Stand by. Inmates at a New York prison who sued the state corrections department over a planned lockdown during the Monday total solar eclipse. You guys know that's coming tomorrow. Will be able to see the celestial event after all. The lawsuit filed in federal court in upstate New York claimed that the lockdown, which would have prevented many statewide inmates from witnessing Monday's solar eclipse, constituted a violation of religious rights. All right. For many, this eclipse is a moment of monumental religious significance that cannot be overlooked or dismissed out of hand, according to the lawsuit, which listed 6 plaintiffs of various religious faiths. Corrections officials agreed Thursday to permit the plaintiffs, a Baptist, a Muslim, a Seventh-day Adventist, 2 practitioners of a couple of other religions, and an atheist, to view the eclipse in exchange for the lawsuit's dismissal. Department spokesman Thomas Maley told USA Today. Okay. So the question, what is that? So I'm going to integrate this into the USAF, right? So question for you all: in a perfect Air Force ROTC Air Force world where you could sue the USAF, given it has all the resources, there's no scrutiny, there's no backlash for your case, what is the one thing you would advocate for? And what would you use as leverage to make that case happen to the point where the chief of staff is like, fine, absolutely do it, right? What would you guys advocate for?
I've been thinking on this one for a little bit. I still haven't come up with a solid answer. Wade, you look like you got something.
Man, I've had something for a while. I want my freaking cornrows, man. I want my damn cornrows. I need them. Man, ever since I was a youngin', I remember getting my hair pulled at and crying because my mom was putting in some sick cornrows. And I'm like, man.
Beauty costs, baby.
Right?
Beauty costs.
I got an iron scalp now, but I wish I could wear them in the uniform like our female counterparts. And that one, I don't know. I think it's different than the beards because we're not comparing beards to anything else, really. Like, those beards aren't accepted anywhere besides foreign militaries in like Australia or whatever. But
are they accepted in special forces?
They get like a
beards. I know beards are.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
We can say that. But since there's basis there, I mean, the females can have their cornrows and their dreads. Why can't the male, you know? If I keep it under 2 1/4 bulk and I keep the tapered appearance and it's 1/4 inch from the collar, I mean, I'm not seeing any problems. You know what I'm saying?
He's suing the Air Force.
And I feel like I might have some basis on that one. What do you think? Who else got one?
All right, yeah. So I'll wait for Justin. Ulrich, I know you've been in ROTC long enough to say, man, if I were to sue ROTC, right? I mean, let's be honest, we can't sue, but in a perfect Air Force world where we can provide this argument, what is the one thing that you would say, you know what, man, we've got to do this?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, my basis argument is probably going to be pretty simple. I look better with a beard, so I want to have one. But I'm still kind of learning the ropes just to figure everything out. And I'm pretty happy with where I am. I don't mind being in the military, complying to all these regulations and whatnot, because there's standards to be upheld. And I mean, not everything's perfect, blah, 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 blah. And we're going for the perfect Air Force in this scenario. But it's like, what would I want to have for it to be the perfect Air Force? Ooh, that's That is a great question.
It's okay. You got beers. You can go with beers.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that. It shouldn't just have to be like
right.
religious or like certain sectors, whatever, like special forces, where they can have it for extra camouflage. Nah, I want to have a beer too, like the Germans.
Yeah.
All right, Justin. You've been around the block a couple of times. Maybe that he'll spark some of the. I know Justin been around the block enough. He said, "This is ridiculous. I'm getting a lawyer, and we got to have this. I'm filing a lawsuit now." What you got, Justin?
You know what? Most of my career has been time. Something they can't give back. I've been to so many meetings that could have been an email, or I drove 50 miles just to something's not happening. I want my time back. You know how many times I sat around for hours doing nothing? My time has been wasted. I want my time back. Give me money. I'm suing.
He's like, let me stay clocked in for these 50 miles.
Right. So, okay.
Exactly. I don't know how many times we go to a meeting and I'm like, this could have been an email, but we're going to sit here and argue about it for an hour.
So you need compensation. It's your money and you need it now, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
You gotta just make meeting pay. Yeah, they are set up meeting pay.
Oh, that'll start.
Oh, no,
the emails will start flowing.
10 minutes.
Emails start flowing real quick.
The meetings have their own incentive or hazard pay.
$500 a month.
Hey man, look, if you got to go up to Creech for that meeting and you live over there in Aliante, that's a significant amount of time. You just lost 3-4 hours. Man. You just lost it. Yeah. And then they'd be like, well, I was like, and then they'd be like, did you check your email I sent the other day? No, I didn't check the email. I just came in. You need to go check your email. What? Yeah, I got that. Absolutely. 100%.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I need compensation for the time that I've throughout the 18 some odd years, I didn't have to attend an unnecessary meeting that could have been an email. And
getting any cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. Chief of staff would be like, all right, here you go. Bang, here you go. You're like, see, we good now, right? That's fair. That's good. That's good. So mine would be, given the Air Force, if I thought Air Force ROTC Enterprise, I would be like, ladies and gentlemen of the court, I was hired here to be an instructor in the fields with the cadets, mentoring, shaping, forging. And that's what I thought 100% of my time is going to be. I would argue, every cadre member would argue that we spend 80% of that time probably knocking out the admin, getting these people commissioned, and 20% of that time actually in the field, talking to people on the podium, instructing class. My proposal would be to we got infinite resources and infinite personnel, just make a whole crew that, a cadre team that does that. Just do the admin for me so that I can just spend more time with the cadet wing and do what I was hired to do, instruct, mentor, guide, and you do all the paperwork. That is the ROTC thing that I would argue if we had infinite resources, but we don't. We got to do both. Enterprise-wise, my biggest thing maybe would be to bring PT back into the normal duty day, because back 20 years ago, it was on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays before we went on the maintenance line. You showed up in PT gear and we would do our, hour or two of PT time together as a team, as a crew. And then we would, shower and all that stuff like that. And then we'd get on the line and then we did whatever. Back then, the Air Force had an argument of why people are not being compliant with standards. Like, doesn't your unit have unit PT? Now it's on us, which, hey, we got to do it. We got to do it. And most people can do it, right? Most people do it every single day. But we say it's important, but it's not infused into our normal day. So maybe re-arguing that.
Yeah, I can
say, you need to do that on your own time. You need to do that on your own time. So it's ROTCs, you ROTCs have fun while a PT program is infused into your everyday life. Because us active duty people will tell you right now, that's the first thing that goes. You are on your own. Which Wade is like, fine, I'm good with this. I have my own training regimen. But some people who need that group PT dynamic, that's the first thing that goes, and you are on your own.
Yeah,
good luck.
That's probably going to hit me a little bit because the group motivation is a big thing for me. I mean, doing it on your own, that definitely instills more discipline in you and whatnot, and that dedication to like, hey, you got to do this on your own, otherwise you're going to fall back, and that's on you. But it's like, to me personally, it's like I like working out with other people because then I don't feel like I'm alone in the objective. And it's nice because it almost, I think Wade can probably relate to this a little bit. When you're in the gym and you try to hit that new PR and you got your boys around you to hype you up, that makes you want to do it 10 times more after that. And then even hit a new PR after hitting that one. So it's just like the motivation thing is big thing for me for why I would want to have the group PT, because it's like you got everybody else around you, so you all going through it together, and it's not like, oh, I'm doing this and you're not understanding because you're not doing it too. It'd be you're all in it together and going through the same thing, so you bond with each other even more in the end, making the unit stronger at the end of the day.
I can vibe with that. The only thing is though that with group PT, I mean, the Air Force consists of everybody in the Air Force is a runner. I feel like everybody loves to run. Like, man, what are we running for? Like, let's go pick up some iron, you know? That's why I really want to do PT, because everybody like, let's go run 3 miles. Like, no, you go run 3 miles.
Accommodate for different regiments.
Yeah. Let me go hang out with
maybe, right?
Big old Samoans that are picking up freaking thousands of pounds. That's not true.
Yeah, I feel that.
Okay, cool. So good one, guys. Good one. I appreciate that. So now we're going to pivot to stories from the field. So again, like we had kind of alluded to earlier, we're getting ready for field training. That's coming up. So this one's for Ulrich. Ulrich is our commander today. And I got some stories from the field in which cadets got eliminated from field training and their contracts, removed. Because of some stuff that went on in the field during field training. So we're going to do a little role playing today. Cadet Ulrich, you're going to be the commander.
Right.
You're going to assess the situation. We got Justin. He's going to be your senior NCO. I'm going to give you some reps. He's going to give you the advice based on the scenario. He'll be able to figure out the scenario. He'll figure it out. He's going to give you some advice. And then you, at the end of the day, you're going to make a decision. Wade, you support. You say if you're cool with that or not. Right. But this is for Ulrich's exercise, so he understands what we as cadre have to go through when it comes to some of these crazy things that have happened in the field. Okay?
I'm ready to be thrown in the fire.
All right, here we go. You gotta learn one day. All right, Justin, you ready? You got it?
Yep.
All right, cool. So scenario number 1, this is from field training. Okay, disclaimer, all these cadets got dropped. So I want you guys to figure out sustain, keep it, modify the discipline, or set it aside, leave it alone, right? Okay, or forgive. All right, scenario number 1. Some dude once graduated, was on the bus that takes you out of Maxwell, opened up the window and flipped off the base. The FTU said, stop that bus, went in, took his prop and wings. Man literally fumbled his last minute. So I'm going to ask you, okay, that's the scenario, Ulrich, okay? Now, Justin, you understand the situation, okay? What advice would you give to Ulrich before he makes his decision? Would you sustain? Would you mitigate and modify the discipline, or would you just set it aside and let it go? What would you recommend?
Oh,
it's like if kind of compare, think about it after basic training. When we get on the buses and we go to Shepherd or Keesler or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I
cool.
can feel the frustration.
All right, cool. That's exactly what happened.
Yes.
What would you recommend? You gotta tell him. Ulrich is a commander. He don't know.
Hey, that's it. You know what?
What's it?
He's going to need a little bit of discipline, but I don't think, kicking him out is going to be the right thing. He can learn from this mistake. Okay. That's my personal opinion. I'm a little softy. I think, I don't believe there's one mistake here for us. So I think I feel a little bit of discipline, but I think extreme to kick him out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay. So what would you recommend, right? I mean, what would they do in basic training? What would they do?
Oh, they would phase him back.
Exactly. So they would recycle him.
He would go back a few weeks.
Yeah, they would recycle him. So they wouldn't get there. Okay. Okay.
Learning the lesson.
Okay, got it. So, all right, Ulrich. So, if to make sense of it, Master Sergeant Stack has recommended that you mitigate the discipline and take action based on that. With that scenario, what would you do as a decision maker?
Okay, Ulrich, don't give in.
Yeah, I'm not giving in on this. I was gonna say, based on the scenario itself, I wouldn't necessarily be like, done, your career is over because you flipped out the base. It would definitely be a sit down with cadre as soon as possible. Like, hey, this is not right. You should not be acting in such a manner. You are representing the United States Air Force, the big blue, bigger mission. You're becoming an officer. You need to set yourself to a higher standard, blah, 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 blah. There would definitely likely be an LOR in place, letter of reprimand. And I don't, with what you guys were talking about, like recycling through basic, I don't know what the equivalent to that through ROTC would be.
Mm-hmm. So you can fail somebody for field training. So what you're alluding to is you can fail somebody's field training event and send them home with prejudice. And then what you're doing is giving that decision to the deck commander. This is what you sent me. I'm sending this back to you. Right. And you, the deck commander, decide if this person is worthy of retrying again the following year. So that is a recycle. Now imagine and that's a fair assessment. I think that's what you guys are trying to get at. Right. Let's mitigate this and say, cool, send them back home with prejudice. Let the deck commander determine what to do with it, because it might be a sharp cadet who just had a bad lapse in judgment. That happens all the time. Right. And that's what your senior NCO just told you. They might have just had a bad lapse in judgment. Don't rob the dude's opportunity or do that for opportunity to lead in the future because of one mistake. Like they're a kid. You're a kid.
They're young. So they're naive.
So now let's apply this to Ep.4. Imagine.
Imagine would have his head. Colonel would have his head.
You getting sent home with prejudice because of this. What you did. Yeah. I hope that you are a super sharp cadet who just had a bad moment, because you're pretty much done now. Where is Laconnie Lau with his paintball gun? Shoot up this dude's contract. But hey, why is Laconnie Lau's call sign not Uzi Vert or Lil Uzi or something like that? Anyway, that's what I'm saying. But the point is, you put that in Colonel's hands. Good luck.
But Lord have mercy on him.
Yes, but the decision space is with him, right? That person may be salvageable, right? Yeah. He says, okay, defer and then do it again. And understand you're probably going to get a CE out of this. Not good. I send you to go out there and execute and perform and not embarrass me. And you literally just embarrassed me.
Yeah. The recycle is maybe like a 500. Is the 500 the recycled 200 year, if I'm correct on that?
You would be deferred. So you can request to defer him as a POC, or you can just defer, or you can just 500 him and say no, right? It depends on how he feels about it.
Yeah.
Decision space.
I would personally defer him, 500 him, and make him do it again. Make him learn his lesson.
Okay. All right. That's fair. All right. So there's one. All right. Good one. So now we got the rhythm. Let's go. We can speed up the pace. All right. This one's the next one. Some idiot stole an MRE the day before graduation at Shelby. I didn't get that food. I get that food wasn't the best, but apparently they couldn't wait until the next day just to eat. Okay, Justin, what you got? They stole an MRE out of the stash box.
Oh,
that's a poor value.
What type of?
I was gonna say that breaks the honor code right there.
Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and steal. I don't know how hard you
man,
are
have some more,
guys, because I could see. Yeah, from from my basic, that guy would have been pushing all day. He would have had everybody out there pushing.
That's old Air Force, my man. That's old Air Force, so we can't do that now.
Air Force, so we can't do that.
Can't do that now. So, what would you recommend to Lieutenant Colonel Ulrich here? He's getting sent home.
You know what? Like you said, that is a core value. That is something I don't know why he would still need to steal. I think he might have to get sent home. If that's, I don't know. If that's a trust thing, if you can't trust them to, not steal, I don't know what else you can trust them.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got it. Ulrich, he's recommending, I can't trust him. Why did he even do that in the first place? What would you do?
And I kind of agree on that. It's kind of like a big trust thing. And again, it goes back to the core value, our literal honor code that says we will not lie, cheat, nor steal or tolerate among us anyone who does. And at the end of the day, if they start that habit of stealing with something as simple as food like that, I mean, I get being hungry and all that, but you got to learn patience. And if you start stealing something small, it's going to develop into something bigger, and we got to knock that out as soon as possible. So I'm going to sustain that punishment.
I feel like that one's an easy weed out, those core values and integrity code.
Oh, yeah.
I heard a story once about OTS, the same thing, where in the OTS class, the drill instructors, they said, don't touch this thermostat that's on the wall for the building, no matter what. So, I mean, it was clear right there, don't touch it. But there was a cadet or trainee there that was going through the program, and he actually worked for the company that manufactured the thermostat, and it broke. So he knew how to fix it. So he decided to fix the thermostat in the building, even though he was instructed not to touch it at all. And he fixed it, and the AC worked fine. But then, the DIS came back, and they're like, who touched the thermostat? And then he wouldn't fess up. But his buddy was watching him back there fixing it. And he snitched on him. Even though he fixed it, he didn't speak up. And they got him on integrity code, and they kicked him out. Even though you did a good thing, you lied.
Yeah.
He was out of there like
the next day. They don't waste no time. OTS, once you're done.
That's an easy one.
Yep.
I think that's an easy one. So if you're at field training, fess up, even if you do something stupid. I did stupid stuff. If I got caught, I would have fessed up. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I was like, I know one's supposed to touch it, man, but I got it. Okay, so cool. I got another one. Here we go. This one's a long one, so hang in here. Had 2 guys in our squadron kicked out 2 days before graduation. When reporting accountability that morning, the cadre whispered in the deputy's ear the new number. It was a failure to adapt to leadership. Both cadets failed their leadership scenarios when evaluated by the CTAs and FTOs. They were given a second chance to reevaluate at the squadron level, failed again. The same thing kept occurring at the group and finally the field training leadership level where they kept failing. This person remembers back in the day after a Vigilant Warrior, when the field training leadership was evaluating, literally everyone in the squadron was killed off at some point during the exercise because the 2 cadets were so incapable of figuring out how to lead. It seemed like genuine incompetence. They were both in the same flight, and as a result, the whole flight struggled greatly from having to pick up the slack that they were constantly dropping. If you're going to field training and you're scared of this, understand it's just because you fail to accomplish your goal to exercise doesn't mean you fail the scenario as a whole. The point of field training is to see if you can adapt as a leader and weed out those who cannot. Okay, these 2 cadets were dropped because of the scenario. Justin, what do you think? This happens to some of your cadets, and you got to give a recommendation to Ulrich.
So these individuals are not adapting, or they can't get right.
Yeah, they failed their scenario. Basically. So it's kind of like a senior NCO where you do like the LRC or whatever the case may be. They're just making decisions. They can't get it. They can't wrap around their mind to make those decisions, or they're not great decisions. So we don't know what to do with them. What would you recommend?
Yeah, this is a tough one. With them continuously, failing scenarios like this.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's maybe it's not for them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We have, depends on their potential and their character. I would ask questions. Like what questions would you ask? So we don't know anything about these kids' characters. Like, what are their attitudes? Like, are they good kids and they're just kind of like, they're just behind the power curve? Maybe they're late bloomers. Maybe they need more exposure. Right. So
yeah,
exactly. So as a senior NCO, right, that would be like, I don't know this kid, but I assume in this case, you probably know this kid, right? I know these 2 kids, right? If their attitude is solid, they're just behind the power curve. That's one thing. If they are crappy attitude, we saw this at the det, right? And we sent them over there to get evaluated. And then they showed exactly what we thought. There's another scenario. So yeah.
In that case, then yes, that's there's nothing we can do for you. I would suggest that to the colonel. Like, hey, you know what? We tried it and can't. Bad attitude. He doesn't want to get right. If it was somebody, if these guys were, something we could work with, like, hey, maybe they just, not getting it right now. They're good. They're, to get the right head on the shoulders. They just need a little extra time. Then that's hey, I would suggest, we just give them another chance, but.
Okay.
So try to, maybe just guide them a little more, give them a little extra. But if we're assuming, hey, there's this bad attitude, bad all this, that's something I wouldn't want to see in the Air Force.
Yeah, because that impact, the future. Yeah, can't make a decision, right? Okay. So with that being said, based on that, Ulrich. So you have kind of, depending on the 2 different kind of splits here, your senior NCO just kind of ask questions like, if it's this, then I would do this. If it's this, I would do that. Would you mitigate all of that and just say send them home, or what would you do?
And I definitely agree with what he had to say. It would definitely be a case-by-case basis. So if they did have good intentions, they had a good attitude about it, and they were just struggling a little bit, they need a little bit more guidance, a little bit more practice, I would probably recycle them without prejudice and say, hey, let them have a little bit more training back in the detachment and get used to these leadership scenarios. So maybe putting more leadership positions like flight commander, UFPM, all that. That way they can be comfortable being in that position of power before we send them out into the real world where situations like this can happen, and it would literally be a life or death matter rather than just failing an evaluation and all that. But if they were really bad people, I mean, not like horrible people, but had bad attitudes about it, they were just there to do it and were not there for the team, they were all in it for themselves, all this, then yeah, I'm sorry, you got to go. There's nothing we can do for you. Gave you multiple opportunities and you kept showing these results. I hate to say it, but you got to go.
Ooh, Wade, you cool with that?
Mostly. I mean, at field training, it's very seeking to get sent home for underperformance. It's usually one of the harder things to get sent home for, because you need to have 1017 or, discrepancies in the same category more than once. But it does happen, and I think it just comes down to if you can't perform your volume 1 objectives that you get signed off on before you end the semester at your detachment. If you don't know those, then you're going to get sent home. Like, if you can't do a left and right face in the flight, and you can't march it, and you have to get it sent home, because I think field training was kind of like the womb. Like, you don't get any extra time in the oven when it's time to, come out and perform. You don't get to go back to shop and practice. If you can't perform it there, then they have to send you home because you cannot perform.
Yeah.
And I can get behind that.
I saw it happen. There was a guy that was in my sister's flight. He got sent home because he literally could not march a flight for his life. And they gave him a week, and nope, he was out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Maybe a couple of more reps, right? Depends on the kid's attitude, right? If they're a good attitude, they mean well, and maybe they just didn't pick it up right, then maybe we can give them another year and specifically have the cadet wing put these people in these scenarios and constantly, provide that time, right? They deserve a second chance. They're good kids, right? They just need more reps. I'm a late bloomer, so I really understand that point of view. A lot of people gave me chances in life. So, and I always had a good attitude. And I think that was why, versus having a crappy attitude. It's all about me. And I don't want to listen to nobody, it's whatever. Then, okay, I got nothing. They literally passed the judgment on you. I'm done. So, okay. So no, it's good. That's good. Good conversation. Last one before we go. Okay. We're talking about Shell 2, over there at Camp Shelby.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, here we go. Okay, so we were in the auditorium quite literally minutes away from graduation when the Medal of Honor recipient was speaking, and then they started announcing DGs from the entire shell. They were supposed to stand if their name was called and be recognized. One kid got DG, stood up, and started dancing. It was a pretty funny dance, not going to lie. Some lieutenant colonel came and grabbed him after we were instructed to go outside to receive our prop and wings. He was walking the other way with the FTOs, while we were hanging outside. Last he heard, they dropped him for that one thing. But they know for sure they didn't see him again. He's kind of crazy because they literally said, don't do anything stupid, since cadets tend to act out on the last day, and literally spoke it into existence. So Justin, based on that scenario, dude got DG. Instead of just standing up, he's standing up, did the robot, something crazy, did some crazy dance. And next thing you know, he saw he was getting dropped, and never to commission or anything through ROTC. So given that scenario, would you recommend to Ulrich sustain, mitigate, or just let it go?
Ooh, it sounds like that's an exciting time, and I think the leadership is a little extreme on that one.
Mm-hmm.
You just want DG. Go on.
Top 10%.
Yeah, that's and come on, that's a little extreme, to give somebody who is your distinguished grad just dances or something, and you're willing to throw all that away.
Yeah. So what do you recommend? You recommend to let it go? A little bit of talking, but let it go?
Yeah. And this is, you're going to get pulled off to the side and get talked to, but I think that's a little time. We let that go.
Okay. Ulrich, what you think?
Yeah.
He did a pretty sweet robot, but he wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to just stand up. He was extra. Well, what would you recommend?
Yeah.
Or what decision would you make?
with what he was saying, I would definitely have it be kind of like a slap on the wrist and some talking to, and kind of forgive the whole situation and be like, hey, this was supposed to be a professional moment and you made it a not very professional moment, but I'm not going to rob you of your whole career just because you did it, if that makes sense.
Thanks a lot, Will Smith. Thanks a lot, Will.
Yeah, I mean, I would get it being like a fun moment and just trying to make a little highlight, but still, it should be professional. I'm gonna let it go. Just slap on the wrist, be like, hey, don't do that again. You got to set the example for those who are not the distinguished graduates. So, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right, easy one. All right, so that was the last scenario. So we're going to go ahead and pivot to the last thing that we're going to do before we wrap this show up. We're going to do the would you rather. All right, it's very simple. Just tell me what you'd rather do. All right, this channel's open, so you guys go ahead and just say whichever you guys feel. All right, first one. You guys ready? Everybody ready? All right, cool. Yeah. First one. Would you rather be famous in the United States Air Force or well financially set in the United States Air Force?
The latter.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Second option.
Financially set.
Yeah. So none of y'all want to be famous in the Air Force? Medal of Honor?
Nah, what does that mean?
It'd be nice, but it's like, I'm not big on major public attention. You feel me?
Then you get taken away from your day job and you're part of some PA treating element the rest of your career.
Yeah, that's true.
There's that time thing again. Wasting your time
all over again. I could have done this virtually.
Right?
Let me do my job.
Okay. All right, cool. Sounds good. You guys would rather be financially set in the United States Air Force. Okay, next one. Would you rather never have to commute to your unit ever again or always have a 3-day weekend?
Ooh, that's a good question.
The latter.
I mean, I like keeping myself busy, so I'm going to go with the first option.
Really? I'm looking at it as net time, you know?
There you go, Justin. That damn time.
You're getting...
Yeah, I'm going to take that 3-day weekend. I'm going to take that 3-day weekend. Already did the drive, you know?
Time. What about the no commute time, man?
All right, you know what? I can deal with it. I got podcasts.
And in order for it to even out, you would have to be driving one way 5 hours in order to make up 72 hours of time. So you'd have to drive to work 5 hours and then drive back.
Going to Creech is debatable.
Nah, that's 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Look, 2 hours. 2 hours going to and from work. That's already 2 hours. It gets close, right? So it's debatable, right? Or versus, I don't gotta go nowhere. I'm already at work.
Nah.
You just be like Liz.
Yeah.
I've had to take the stuff adds up, man.
Nah, your kids gonna argue differently. I promise you that.
Yeah, hey, that's what they got base housing for, man. That's what they got that for.
All right, yeah. All right. Not everybody got it like that, though. Creech don't have houses.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. Next one. All right.
It's rough out here.
Besides your AFSC, would you rather be famous and use in the USAF singing, acting, dancing, artist, or influencer?
Ooh.
So in addition to being a pilot,
I'm gonna go.
Okay, which one?
I'm gonna go with the first one because I'm Filipino. We just love.
You gonna sing? Okay, you gonna sing?
Yeah, we got the karaoke on deck, man.
Dude,
you know I got my
walking into the squadron. Morning.
Don't make me close. Got my Whitney Houston on deck.
Yeah. So he gonna sing everywhere in the squadron. That's fair. All right.
Influencer.
What else is
That's
out
a
there?
freaking 2024 thing. What even is an influencer? All right,
It's debatable.
Your turn.
Right.
They don't do anything and they make, they think of it.
Yeah.
In addition to whatever, you're an influencer. You influence stuff.
Right. For me,
It's a thing.
I'm gonna go with the dancer because your boy is a swing dancer, and I like my classical music and throwing my arms and legs all over the place, and I like having a good time with everybody else.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. That's funny.
Okay, so we got a dancer, we got a singer. What do you got, Justin? Singing, acting, dancing, artist, or influencer?
I'll probably go with the acting. The actor.
Okay,
Yeah.
So you know you didn't messed up, right? You didn't bring in the security for me. You know you didn't messed up, right?
I can see you playing probably like Fall Boy, Mall Cop. I can see.
Yeah.
I was gonna see him play like a mop boss.
That's my job to defend
Where
this
you get all these
mall
props from, man?
with a Segway.
Yeah, with the little motor scooter. Little motor scooter.
That's
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. Okay.
What about you, Captain Sledge? What you got?
Me. I'd probably be, man, all those are good. All those are good. I'd probably just stick with the influencer one. I kind of like doing what I do. As cadre member, I pretty much am an influencer to do good things.
I mean, your call sign is hype man, so you live up to it.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That'd be fine. So I think if we were all in the same squadron, I think it would be legit.
Yeah.
Like this little hallway. Yeah, it would be cool. Hey, stop. What are you? I don't know you, right?
Yeah, Wade could be singing, I could be doing my dancing, and,
Right.
and Justin be acting out security, like a security movie, like some mall cop. Yeah. So yeah, it works. Okay. All right. This was a good one. So would you rather always TDY around the world but have very few possessions, or have a really amazing house but never PCS?
I like to travel, so I'm gonna be going around the world.
You don't own nothing. You own a couple things, but hey, but you're always
I'm
moving.
fairly minimalistic, so I ain't too worried about it.
All right.
I would say as a CGO, the TDYs. As an FGO,
of course.
I'm going to go with the laggas.
I'm sure you would, right?
You know?
Yes, I'm sure you would. That's parental influence.
Yeah.
What about you, Justin? You've been around the block a couple times.
I know that's a rough one. You know, if I was single, I would love to stay TDY, but I think I would rather stay put.
Yeah. It depends on where you are in life, right? So
yeah, am I right now? No, I'm gonna sit there for.
You take that house, right? It was the really amazing house, but you ain't going nowhere for the rest of your life. I was like,
dude, I'm at the point where I ain't married. I'm at the point where I ain't married. My partner loves to travel, so I can just bring him with me.
I'm already here, man.
Yeah.
I got it. See, and yeah, right. And that ask yourself this 20 years from now, and maybe you will be still the same, right? But you'll be able to see this video 20 years from now and be like, dang, that's what I was thinking back then. So much has changed. Or you'll be like, nothing has changed, and I got a TDY tomorrow.
I'm probably want to travel and
So-
older, just not having the Air Force to tell me to.
Yeah. That's another thing too. Okay, cool. Last one, you guys. Would you rather become the joint chairman, joint chiefs of staff for one day and change whatever you want, or simply just get their pay annually up front?
If you go and you get to make the change, does it happen, or you still got to argue when it's up for the day?
No, it happens.
Okay.
It happens.
Ooh. Hold on. Hold on.
Come on, y'all.
Let me go look at the pay table.
chairman.
Let me go look at the pay
You get the
table real quick.
You get to be the chairman. You get a oil painting of yourself that day. You're the chairman for the day, and everything that you say goes.
Do I get to
has
keep the
go.
painting?
Well, it stays in the Pentagon.
I'm gonna get a little wallet-sized copy of that.
Or would you just say, whatever, man? Just give me
Just give
the
me your
annual
money.
salary.
I don't know. I would go with the first one because I mean it is probably going to come out to $250,000. A rough estimate of what you would get. I don't need that bad. I go with the first
So
one.
you make change.
I would have to craft up something damn good though. Of what to change.
I feel
To
that.
make it
I
worth
feel
it.
that.
you have
Cornrows. I'm
24 hours.
I'm getting my cornrows. That's what I'm getting.
I was doing for the
I would do it. Get my little bow wow one, you know? Everybody just bounce.
Oh man.
So there you go.
Uh-huh.
Right, you got 24 hours. You're gonna have one of them sleepless nights that me and Justin used to have over there in Afghanistan.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
Sleepless nights, man.
Yeah.
Just doing a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, my cornrows. You can put me on light mic.
All right. What about you, Ulrich? I mean, let's go. Wade already made his decision. He's going to be the chief.
That's a good question. I mean, it'd be nice to like hear inputs from everybody on what change they drastically feel would need to be done. Like
Nah,
it was actually something serious.
You don't got time. You
You don't
got
have
24
time for that.
hours.
You ain't got time for
Alright.
that. I guess it's based off experience. So right now, you probably take the money, but ask about 3 years from now, 4 years from now, you're probably like, okay, I know a little bit more.
Yeah,
So-
with where I'm at right now, I'd take the money, help my mama out.
See, that's cool. There's nobody judging you for that. I don't want to make no decisions today.
Oh,
All I want to do is take the money.
I'll probably
That's fair.
increase the Air Force's budget by like 100% and get us like 1,000 F-35s.
Double the defense
More
budget.
aircraft to maintain,
Yeah.
right?
Double the
And
defense
need
budget from
personnel for
800
that.
billion to 1.6 trillion.
Yeah, no, that would ruin our country.
Yeah. All right, Justin, which one you doing? Which one did you say?
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and make the changes. There's a lot of changes. I can
okay.
do.
You go be
That'll
the
make
chief.
everybody
Okay.
happy.
Okay. You got 24
Yeah.
hours. Dude, don't plan on sleeping.
We're
Red
going
Bull
morale-
all day.
morale shuts
Like, let's
down.
go.
Morale
Bring BDUs back. Beers is a thing now.
Get rid of the
meetings. Will be
make sure the ABUs never existed. I hate
time
ABUs.
Compensation, pay, time compensation. Oh, that's coming down. That's gotta pass.
Oh yeah, hey, creatures getting their payback. That changed everything.
Dang, yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so you guys, most of y'all rather be the chief. All right, cool. That's what's up. All right. So last thing, this is what we're going to do when we wrap up the show. I said it earlier with this quote. I wanted you guys to kind of analyze this a little bit better before we send folks off to enjoy the rest of their days. Okay. I mentioned earlier, if your presence doesn't make an impact, your absence won't make a difference. I feel like that was a very, very powerful statement because we are all here on this earth for a function, a reason. And most of the time, it's not solitary. We're designed to be impactful to others. So if you are not impactful or making an impact towards others, especially a positive impact, then what are you doing? Right? I'm sure you guys have had that situation where somebody was in your circle and then they left your circle and you're like, oh, okay, right? No impact. Right. No effect, or at least the significance of the effect was null, where it's like, we were still going to function this way, whether they were here or not. I'm sure you guys have had that experience. So I encourage everybody else out there to analyze what impact they're having on people. What are you bringing to the table? And are people feeding off of it in a positive way? If they're not, then I would argue to you that when you leave, you're not going to make much of a difference. Or if you're negatively influencing them, they're going to be glad that you're gone. So I want to kind of give this to you guys to kind of analyze, and with this quote, provide some guidance on how people should live their lives based on you guys' experiences. I want to kind of start off with Justin, because I know you, Master Sergeant, you've seen some things. You've seen people have impacts on other people's lives. So what would you say to those out there who are probably analyzing what this statement is?
Oh yeah, this is a big one. I'm pretty sure like a lot of other people in Air Force has been in forever. There's always that one person that, hey, he kept me in, he showed, he was a good mentor. He impacted my career, and that's why I stayed in, or that's why I got out, or did something. And then right now, I'm at that point in my career where I'm trying to, pass on my knowledge and my experience onto my guys, and impact their Air Force career. I guess, this is great. This is what I strive for every day, try to impact, the small impact I have on the Air Force. I think, I believe I'm doing something.
Yeah. And I get it. It's that everyday leadership is what you're trying to get at. Right.
Yeah, and I think, people try to think of it as something big, for me, when I help one person that day, if I help one person, or if I mentor one person, I feel like I accomplished that. And
cool. And everybody should strive to do that. If everybody did that, one person, my target is to help at least one person today. Then that's everyday leadership. That's everyday leadership. It doesn't have to be, I'm the commander of this. I tell my cadets this all the time. It doesn't have to be, I'm the commander of this and I make all the decisions. It could just be hey man, I noticed that you're a little down, man. How can I help you? Is everything okay? Oh, I'm having this issue. Oh, come on. Yeah. I know who to talk to about that. Let's go. Right? That's everyday leadership. You just save somebody a lot of grief and heartache. And those are the little things that change people's lives. Like I was telling my cadets the same thing here. Sometimes you're just in somebody's life for one episode, for one moment, but you change their trajectory forever. And they come back to you years later and say, when that moment happened, you changed my life forever. And you're just like, I don't even remember that, right? I've had those moments.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember that. I don't remember saying that. But I'm so happy that you did that. That's everyday leadership. And if you haven't experienced that, man, I feel bad for you. Wait till you experience it. It's a heck of an experience. So impact. Absolutely. Wade, what you got? What are you saying to the people out there?
I think my philosophy lies along the same lines. I truly believe that in your course of leadership in your life, that it's very rare that you'll be big enough to the point where people will remember you for your actions. They'll more or less remember you for how you make them feel. And that'll guide, the trust and effectiveness of your leadership. And I mean, we could relate just back to the action even. Like, I didn't even remember half the actions that the cadre make or we make together at the detachment levels. And, I might not even agree with half of them, honestly, but I still always think back to how, the cadre team in Ep.4 makes me feel. And that's why I can trust on what we do there and the leadership that's given above me. And that's, where I think that it's important. On the side of if you're gone and, you didn't make an impact, then nobody will truly remember or miss you. I think that's true to some point, but I also think that as a leader, if your team, your organization can't function without you while you're gone, then you have done a very big disservice to them. Like, if you can disappear for a day, 2 days, a week, and everything is just fine, then you're almost perfect, I think. And sometimes I like to gauge whether I'm working on, like a team or cadet organization or unit. Like, if I can disappear and not go to an event for one day, or if I can not go to one meeting and see how things start out, that's kind of a tool that I also use to gauge effectiveness. So I kind of agree with the second part of that to some degree. Yeah.
Okay. Absence as in, well, if you set yourself up and you lay out your standards and everybody knows what your intent is and it's clear as day, then you can truly just back up. I wouldn't call that absence. I'd call that empowerment. I'd call that something different.
You did your job.
Yeah, you did your job, right? Colonel Young could back off and the debt will run perfectly fine because he clearly has his intentions out and we understand them clearly. So he could go and take a month of leave and he come back and the debt is still running perfectly fine.
I don't know. He says
because we
otherwise.
understand. Right. That'll never happen, right? Because he works hard, but at the same time, we all do. So, but that's what I'm saying. Absence, the word absence, as in I'm leaving and you're like, well, you were never really here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's absence. Mm-hmm. So cool. And we all know how that feels. It's like, cool. Everybody's like, cool. Cool.
Thank God.
Right. Okay, Ulrich, you got it. You wrap it up for us.
All right. I get to end it off with a bang, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
All right. So with what was said, I would personally take it in the way that with leaving the impact, you basically set the tone for the future you want to leave. And for those who are coming after you, that's kind of one of my big philosophies, is to set the example for those coming after you, not those beside you. I mean, it is important to set the standard if you are in that position of leadership to those beside you, but at the same time, you want things to gradually improve. And I know we say it in ROTC, but I also learned a long time ago when I was Boy Scouts, leave something better than when you found it. If it can continually improve and strive and just be overall better to where somebody can do your job better than you did, that's how I would know as a leader I did my job. The student always becomes the master at the end of the day, and they're supposed to surpass their teacher, if you ask how I look at it. And then it's their job to teach those that come after them. It's an endless cycle. So you just got to leave that impression to where people will trust your judgment and want to pass it on to those after them with their own interpretation of it.
Okay, cool. Well said, crew. We thank you guys all for coming over here and hanging out with us. And we will see you guys here in a couple of weeks. All right. In the words of Yesenia, be kind, make good choices out there. And of course, how I say it, talk to somebody differently. You might learn something new. All right. We will see you guys on the next episode. Out.
Have a blessed day, y'all.
Yep. Have a good one.